Okay, no turning into a cute hedgehog today, guys. Today we repeat the rhyme as it should be said and find out what our fate will be today. I repeated the rhyme to myself several times, filling in the missing parts bit by bit, but I still wasn't sure I had it right.
You have to answer now. I'm afraid there's no more time.
Fillet of a fenny snake, in the cauldron boil and bake. Eye of newt and toe of frog, wool of bat and tongue of dog. My confidence grew as I recited it, and the words came back to me. Adder's fork and blind worm's sting, lizard's leg and howlet's wing. The Shelley clone was positively beaming by the time I reached the end of the quote.
I'm so glad you got it right. You may pass and... Human child, I hope you know there are those of us here who wish to see you safely return home.
I raised an eyebrow at that, because, really? There were? But why? Why is that? Then again, she definitely seemed nicer than the others as a whole, so maybe there were just unseelies who didn't agree with the whole kidnapping people thing. Still smiling, she and the shadow wall vanished, leaving us alone again. Alright. I was a little worried about the riddles. I hadn't anticipated facing challenges like this, and they weren't exactly easy. But we hadn't failed yet. There was still hope as long as we got to the end of this soon. I shot Allie a curious glance. She looked as worried as I felt. We couldn't keep playing by their rules. We had to find a way to turn the tables on them and outsmart them, beat them at their own game. But how?
This place is kind of weird, isn't it?
I'll say.
I was thinking how those trees up ahead don't seem to be getting any closer. Did you notice that?
Yeah, now that you mention it. But then again, I was just sitting here wondering how much of this is even real. I mean, you know, it's not like fairies aren't known for creating whatever kind of illusions they want.
That's true. With fairy magic, we could be walking through a swamp full of snakes and never know.
Well, that's comforting. I looked him up and down disdainfully. Damn, didn't have to go after him like that. I like the real one better.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I mean, the hair is nice, but that outfit...
You guys just don't appreciate fashion. Yeah, way too edgy. Not sure about those horns, either.
Without the purple hair, it really just isn't Elliot.
Definitely not. So unamused.
Are you two quite finished?
There were so many parts to the poem that seemed to point to different things. Quills of geisling birds. I didn't know what a geisling or geis was, but I did know that ravens were often associated with magic and destiny, and they were birds. And that line about bringing strife. A group of ravens was called an unkindness. There was also a mention of fairy looms, and I wasn't totally sure what that meant, but fairies did have stronger association with some types of animals. Like cows. Fairy cows were a big thing for some reason. Cows were also associated with deer in folklore, so maybe that was the moose swab thingy? Moose and deer were, vaguely similar? But then all that stuff about weaving, fate, looms. The one creature I could think of that was related to those things in folklore and mythology was the spider. And gossamer could be a reference to cobwebs. Which one was it?
You're running out of time. You may want to answer quickly, little lost changeling.
I know, and stop calling me that! I took a deep breath and just picked the one that made the most sense. cow, huh? That's an interesting one. Let's just save over that. You know, for our murder boys, let's go raven. Is it a raven, by any chance? Please be a raven. My heart sank when the fairy smiled. I knew there was no way he'd look that pleased if I had gotten it right. No! Damn it, why were these stupid riddles so hard?
After all that bluster, you answered it completely wrong. What a silly little thing you are.
I'll show you, silly. Elliot Fairy laughed quietly.
You failed our test. I wonder what we should do with you now. Boil you? Bake you? Or maybe... just make sure you stay.
I spun around, reaching for Allie, but two arms circled me, pulling me back to the shadows. I saw a flash of Allie's face before the shadows closed in, cutting me off from her entirely. No! The arms tightened around me, pinning me in place as I tried to struggle free. The fairy pressed his face to the side of my head, laughing at my efforts to get away.
I'm glad you're back, little changeling girl. I've had my eye on you for such a long time.
A hand covered my mouth, and I didn't realize he was forcing something in until I felt something small and round on my tongue and tasted sweetness tinged with a bitter flavor. What is that? Fairy fruit? He was trying to make me swallow something? His hand clamped down on my nose and mouth, cutting off my air supply. I swallowed almost reflexively and, panicking, started to struggle harder, though it was too late. I'd already swallowed whatever he put in my mouth. To my surprise, the fairy released me immediately. I staggered forward, a hand to my mouth, trying to wipe the bitterness off my tongue. What was that? What did you make me do?
Fairy fruits to ensure you can't leave these halls again.
Fairy food? No! Eating fairy food meant you had to stay. I tried to run back the way I'd come, but there was no path there anymore. No, we came so far! And the fairy was back, arms around me, holding me tight against his chest. His long fingers tangled in my hair, and I felt his breath against the side of my ear.
No need for tears. What's done is done. The others are all gone. Returned, just as you wanted. And you belong to us.
Man, did that ever give me Hades Persephone vibes? Oh, I was a big fan of that. Why did it have to be Elliot? Oh, no. Oh, that was so good. I love these endings. These are my favorite bad endings so far. Just low-key. I love them. Whoo, I got chills from that. Eee, goosebumps. Woo! Anyway, quote time. My grief lies all within, and these external manners of lament are merely shadows to the unseen grief that swells with silence in the tortured soul. William Shakespeare. Aw, man. It's like Persephone eating the pomegranates, having to stay. Sweet to tongue, sound to eye. Oh, man. That was so interesting. Yes. Big fan. I loved that very much indeed. Alright, well. I don't know what's gonna happen after this. We ran into Brenna. I don't know if we'll see a Brenna this time around. If not, it'll be Allie. So I guess we'll find out next time.